Welcome back to another episode of the Iron Purpose Podcast. Got had a lot of exciting things happen this past 2 weeks actually, and due to the busyness of last week, didn't get a chance to get on and do a recording. So now we're doing it. We're gonna make up for it, and just gonna kind of talk about a couple things that I went through, a couple things I got to experience, and a few things that I learned. But first of all, I do want to say the new hats came in. The Stay Sharp upside down backwards version of the Iron Purpose Podcast hat is now here. I have the order that came in, so if you ordered one, I will be getting that to you shortly. If you missed out on it and you would like to get one, I have a few extra left over, so please feel free to reach out. But this hat, not only is it a sweet, cool design, I saw kind of the layout of how it looked when I was on vacation in Florida, and it was at a surf shop. The color scheme was anyways, in the upside down backwards version of it, and thought it was really cool. Thought it was really relatable for Iron Purpose and the Stay Sharp mission and kind of goal that we have over here. Even when life is upside down, even when it feels backwards, we can stay sharp. We can still be the best that we can be and persevere through that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more today and things that I learned. Kind of start off with something a little sad, something that's very tough and difficult to have to go through in life when it comes to our friends, our animals, and one of the animals being man's best friend, and that is dogs. I have 2 dogs right now, and I grew up with dogs. I've loved them, and unfortunately, through that time, dogs only live to be a certain amount of years old, and I don't know why. I don't know why that has to be the case. Some people have horses or birds or some other animals that live to be upper, 20s, even 30 years old before they end up passing away. And dogs, we're lucky if we get them for 10 to 15 years. We're lucky if we get them in that range. And a lot of times, different sicknesses and stuff, we have to unfortunately put them down a little bit earlier than we would have liked to. It's never long enough, and it's a very difficult time as these animals become so close to us. And growing up, I had 2 different German Shepherds, and I had to put both of them down. The first one I wasn't there for. I got to say goodbye to him, and it was a very sad time. And the second one I went along with, and one of the most difficult things that I've had to go through in my life, experiencing that, and just having to say goodbye to something that you've really grown to love is really, really tough and really difficult. And before my wife and I went on our vacation last week to DC, my wife, her family had to put down their family dog of 14 years, Bella. Awesome dog. She was a golden doodle, a white colored golden doodle. And without her, we wouldn't have the dogs that we have today. I grew up wanting German Shepherds. Very much love German Shepherds. Big, hairy, outside dogs. Big, mean, scary looking animals. And but lovers. They were both lovers growing up. But my wife wanted to get a golden doodle when we first got Sully, our golden doodle, and I was like, seriously, we gotta get this animal. I don't want to. We're going from big bad German Shepherd to golden doodle, and Sully is. I've loved all my dogs, but he's by far the best dog that I've ever had. Just the loyalty, the love, the protection that he brings for my family, and we have Boone as well. He's a knucklehead, but we love him. He was an awesome rescue that we got a chance to get at Babinski a couple years ago. 2 of the best dogs. Love them both to death, and they're hypoallergenic, so I can hold them, pet them, rub them in my eyes if I wanted to, and I'd be able to walk away and continue on with my day as if nothing happened. Whereas some of my other dogs who have that hairy, oily skin, that makes my allergies flare up. So anytime I touch like an actual golden retriever or lab, like I get puffy and itchy and eye watery. We love our golden doodles, and one of the family golden doodles, the patriarch of the golden doodles in the family, we had to put down, or they had to put down last, I believe it was last Friday. Super sad. Super sad. She was never my dog personally, but I got to spend a lot of time around her, and it's a very difficult thing to have to go through, to put down a dog, a family member, because they do become part of the family. If you've ever had to experience that, and I'm sure a lot of people have, I don't know, my heart goes out to you. And it was even more difficult thinking about it when you just put it into relation to my life right now, having Sully. Sully is now, I believe he's 5 years old. He is as old as Bella was when Courtney and I first met. So, during this time, as long as I've known Courtney now, Lord willing, Sully makes it to 14 years. that's how much time I have with him. And there's times where I come home, and I kind of touched on it in my last episode, where I get frustrated with them jumping up on me or having to give them a bath. I come home from a long day at work, being at jail, dealing with people all day long, whether they're good interactions with people or bad interactions with people. I'm dealing with them all day long, 12 hours. Coming home, excited to see my family, and open the door. The first thing that happens is I get smoked in the groin because my dog jumps up at me. He's pawing at me. It's just like, oh, just like, come on, dude, get down. You get frustrated. Quit jumping on me. Quit barking. Like, it's always just like, stop. Um, but Bella, the situation with Bella this last week really helped it put it into perspective for me. Is I'm not gonna have those moments forever, and Lord willing, I'll have them for another 10 years with these dogs. With Sully and with Boone, and any animal that you have right now listening. We time is limited with these beautiful creatures that we get to call our friends. And, Bella, this situation with Bella helped me to put that into perspective, to be more thankful when I'm getting jumped on by dogs rather than frustrated because, they're so happy to see me. What other animal is that excited to see you? And even sometimes your own family isn't that excited to see you. Somebody was, I saw this thing online, and I don't recommend doing this, obviously, but it was, how do you know if your wife, your dog loves you more? It said, lock them both, lock them each in a room, or it said in the trunk of your vehicle for a half hour, and who's gonna be more excited to see you when you open up the door? I know Sully would be panting and excited, stoked, he'd be jumping up on me, and obviously my my wife or your significant other would not be very happy to see you after you locked him in a room. And again, I do not condone that. Do not do that. It's just for the sake of the for the analogy. We love animals. I love my dogs, and I love the chance to be able to have them and spend time with them. Um, that day, Courtney got down to the river a little bit earlier. We refer to the river as kind of where her family lives. They got a camping area and some property down there. And Courtney got there, and they knew that it was time that Bella was going to have to get put down that day, just of how she was struggling, wasn't eating, and it was just, she was older. She was, like I said, 14, pushing 15 years old for a dog is getting up there. And was just not doing well anymore. And so Courtney gets there, and she's laying on her bed with the blanket kind of wrapped around her, and everybody's kind of sitting around, and they were sad. And it's a very tough thing to deal with. And Courtney was like, if we just sit here and be sad, it's gonna be extremely difficult. She recommended that they all walk down to the camping place that they spend a lot of time at, down to the river, one of Bella's favorite places, and just go on one more walk. One more walk as a family, even though it's gonna be tough. Nobody wants to have to go through that experience because it's so difficult to know that you're taking your dog on one last walk. But they did. They brought her down there, and she got to run around with my dogs, and Caden was there, pulled him in the wagon, and they had a beautiful time just with the family reminiscing. And by the time I got there, I was walking down, and they were coming back up, and my dogs were soaking wet and muddy, and Bella was as well. And typically, when we go down to the river, you're yelling at the dogs, "Get out of the water! Stay out of the mud!" Because it's going to cause you more issues. You're going to have to give them baths, like I explained in my last episode. And so Bella was making her way down towards the river where she liked to go, and always got yelled at for going down there. But this time, she didn't get yelled at. This time, she didn't get told to get out of the water. And I think they started to, and then Courtney was like, "Hey, who cares? This is her last time going down there. Let's let her have it." And so she got to go down there and play in the water, play in the river with my dogs and with the family down there, um, and just getting to enjoy the moment. There wasn't any other distractions in that moment. There wasn't any, I'm not worried about giving her a bath. Later there's not going to be a bath, um, because of how, not sacred. That's not the right word, but just how special this moment is. Um, and if only we could live in that moment, if only we can live in that headspace on a daily basis, because we never know when our last day is going to be. We never know when we're going to have that last walk with our animal or with our loved one, or even for ourselves, that last moment of, telling somebody that I love them, or giving, I'm going to give my mom a hug tonight, or whatever. I give a lot of hugs, but maybe that's you. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, hey, I'll give it to him next time, or hey, I'll tell my brother I love him, next time I see him, or I'll do it later on, or I'll get to this or I'll get to that. And we just, honestly, we never know how long we have, how many opportunities we are going to have to do that until it's too late. Um, because by the time my dogs get to where they're the age of they're either going to be dying pretty soon, or we're going to have to put them down soon, those are the moments where I'd give back anything for them to be jumping all over me, for them to be annoying me, by just licking me or sniffing me when I'm just trying to lay there and watch a show. everything becomes more precious when we know that there's a time limit, when we're not going to have it again, when there is no more next time. So Bella really helped me learn in that moment to kind of live in the moment, not be so frustrated over the little things. Whether if I had a bad day at work, like who cares? Honestly, who cares? Um, I come home so often frustrated with different things that are going on with me, like why this happened to me, why do they have to treat me like that, or well, we were playing a sporting event and I got super frustrated, or I took my anger out on somebody, or I raised my voice when I shouldn't have, or I got frustrated, or my dog's jumping on me, or oh, I have to go mow the lawn today, or like just the most little mundane things where when we are older, maybe we aren't able to move anymore, when we give just one more time to mow our lawn, to be able to push a lawnmower. Man, I wish I could do that. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym today. Oh, I gotta wake up. I gotta go to work. I gotta go to school. I gotta do this. I gotta go see this person. I have this meeting. There's going to be a time in our lives when we are wishing we would have that opportunity to talk to that person again in that meeting, or we were wishing that we had the strength to be able to push a lawnmower and breathe in the nice, beautiful summer air and let the sun touch our face when we're, in a nursing home, or we're trapped inside, or whatever the case may be. God forbid any of these things happen to you, but we all, nobody's eternal. This life will come to an end on earth, and our souls are eternal, I do believe, and I'll kind of talk a little bit later on with the Bible here. Through faith in Jesus, we do have an opportunity that there is more beyond this life that we can look forward to, but we get so wrapped up in the little things, and myself included, just the little mundane things that upset us, that frustrate us. And there's gonna be a time where we wish, man, I wish I could come back to this. I wish I had that opportunity to do that again. I wish I could take my dog on one more walk. I really wish this wasn't the last walk that my dog is ever going to have with me. And I got to share just a little moment with Bella before we left. I kind of knelt down beside her because she was on her favorite spot on the couch, and just thanked her for the memories, thanked her for, protecting my family, especially Caden. Whenever he went over there, I knew that if any other dog tried to come in, any wild animal, I know that those dogs were going to protect him, protect the family, scare those animals off. And just thanking her for teaching my dogs, for showing an example for my dogs and spending time with them. Who knows how dogs actually communicate? So that was probably just me having something to say. But just taking that moment with Bella was pretty special. She got some tears out of me. Bella was a wonderful dog, and I know the family. It's gonna take a little bit to kind of get over that, and maybe you've experienced that before. And I know that if you do have animals, it will be something that you experience. So that was a reminder for me, Bella, to just be thankful for the moments that we have now, to live in the moment. And I didn't start the episode with gratitude. I said that I was going to be doing that, but I am thankful for Bella. I'm thankful for the opportunity to have animals, to have dogs, and be able to experience creation, and live out this opportunity that God has given us with these beautiful animals. But moving on from Bella, something else that I learned, and I'll start with that whole weekend, and that was I got the chance to go to UFC Freedom 250. Repping the shirt here, repping the Michael Chandler, even though he lost. It was an awesome time being there. Michael's been very influential in my life, and obviously I got a couple things in the background with him in it, just because of the example that he's been in my life. That was the main reason why I went to the White House with my wife to watch this fight, was because he was going to be fighting there. And obviously it's America's 250th anniversary this year. It was just so much surrealness and so much just patriotism wrapped up into it. I know people try to make it political, conservative versus liberal. This is wrong. This shouldn't be happening. Blah 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 blah. All this stuff. And if you have an opinion on it and you want to talk about it, that's totally fine. I'm not putting you down for your opinion. People just get so wrapped up into politics and these things, and it's just like I wish we could all just get along. We could all just stay in our lane. We could all just coexist as humans and not have to make threats, not have to fight or argue. Like I explained in the previous bit with Bella, like life is too short. Life is way too short, and when we get to the end of it, it's like, man, I really wish I didn't waste all my time worrying about what these people thought about me, or worrying that I was gonna get into trouble or have people come after me or try to harm me by attending this event, just based off of my beliefs, when in all honesty we were there just to have fun. We were there to just experience it as a country coming together. 250 years. It wasn't about political parties. It wasn't about things that maybe people thought it was about, and maybe it was for them, but for me, I was just there to have fun. I'm almost done. Hi, buddy.
She's crying when they would open the door.
I'm almost.
Give you a hug.
Hi. You want to be on the episode?
You say bye for camera?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Caden. It is also Father's Day. Caden wanted to come down and say hi. UFC Freedom 250. Yeah, there was people that were outside there as we were walking in. They were trying to tell us that we shouldn't be there. And the guy was saying, "Oh, your wives are going to be so disappointed in you. They think you're this, blah, blah, bleep, bleep, bleep." And Courtney was like, "I'm a wife and I'm here." And they started going off. And I was just like, "All right, we're just going to go in and we're going to have fun." And that's what I told the guy too. I'm like, "I'm just here to have fun, man." And he's like, "Okay, well, you go have fun." I was like, "Thank you. I appreciate that." And continued on. We got in there and it was so surreal. It was so cool being able to see everybody and just the support that the UFC had and everybody being there so patriotic and all the USA chants that were going out. Um, Literally people from all over the world. There was a guy that was from Ireland right behind me. Obviously, the UFC brings a huge crowd of fans from all walks of life from everywhere coming together was super cool, especially in support of an American event of that capacity. Being at the White House, we were on the ellipse, the lawn of the ellipse, and across the street we could see the White House with the claw, is what they call it, where the UFC had its thing set up with the octagon and a little bit of an arena there for 4,000 people that were invited and military members. Then just across the way, the whole ellipse with 85,000 people there supporting the event, supporting America. With the Washington Monument behind us, after the show they had fireworks up above the Washington Monument, and it was so surreal. I'd never been to DC before, and we had the chance to go to the Smithsonian. One of them, anyways. I think it was the Natural Histories where we went to. Got to see some fossils and some really cool stuff. Growing up loving dinosaurs, as a kid, my inner child was coming out, being able to watch all the different exhibits and everything that was going on there. That was super cool. Then getting to walk up to the past the reflecting pool, and all the controversy there right now. There was a guy trying to clean it out, and news crews were all around him. I felt bad for that guy. But then getting to walk up the stairs to the Lincoln Memorial too, and just the I can't even put my words together on it, but just the respect. It was a place you get up there and there's a sign that said, "Out of respect, please, keep it quiet." And so walking in there, being able to see the giant statue of Abraham Lincoln sitting there, and just what all this represents and what this country means, and how cool it was. I'm proud to be an American, and that was one of the most American feeling, patriotic feeling moments that I've had at UFC 250, the White House, Freedom 250, being able to be there and cheer on Michael Chandler. And like I said, he ended up losing, and it really kind of took the wind out of my sails for the event up to that point. It was really tough to see him lose, knowing all the work that he put into it. And a lot of you may or may not be UFC fans, so you could probably care less. But it really meant a lot for me as a fan to watch him and the person that he is, to be able to go out there and walk out of the White House to his music, to the band playing, just to that capacity, to just be draped in the stars and bars, the red, white, and blue American flag, walking down into the octagon, and it was just such a cool experience being able to be there. And he ended up losing, but earlier on in that day, he posted on Instagram about how fighting is cool. It's cool to be this former champion in Bellator and now a competitor in UFC, fighting for the belt once, and many fight of the nights, the bonuses and different things that he's won, being able to be an entertainer for the sport and who he is for the sport. He posted, fighting is cool and that's all cool, but so is being a dad, so is being a husband and a father and a friend. And he posted some videos of his kids and spending time with his kids while he was also in DC, and they're kind of part of the camp, watching him training and watching him cut some weight beforehand, and just some of those training sessions, and then being able to experience that with them too. It really helped me learn, the opportunities and gratitude in a journey, and for the journey. Like before that fight, he was like, "It doesn't matter what happens tonight. Fighting is really cool, but so is being a dad, and I'm famous back home." And there's a Russell Dickerson song that talks about that, being famous back home. We have all these things that we strive for, these positions and work that we strive for, our career, all this stuff. But when you can look back at your home life, when you can look back at being a dad, being a father, being a man of faith, different things that we are rooted in, that I am rooted in, that I find my foundation in, that's what truly matters. It's a part of the process. It's if I go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl and it's over, shoot, can't think of his name. He played for the Giants. They beat the Giants. He was the punter, and very inspirational, influential individual. He talks about how that was the most depressing, lonely night of his life after he'd won the Super Bowl, and I think it was, he had finally got to where he wanted to be. He had strived for in his professional career his whole life to get to that point, and they won, and then it was over with. Um, so for Michael Chandler to look at his position, knowing that this was his Super Bowl per se, walking out of the White House as an American to go fight. Had he won that, I'm sure it obviously would have been amazing, would have been an awesome celebration, it would have been a highlight of his career. But knowing that it probably is still going to be a highlight of his career, that he was able to do that, and not even putting the focus on his career, but being able to say, like, this is what matters right here. My family, my kids, and his daughter back home, like that was super cool. It just puts more emphasis on enjoy the moments that we have right now, enjoying the journey, enjoy the process that you're going through. Like we all talk about, we want to be this person, or we want to get in shape here, we want to do this, but then we don't want to put in the work, or that we're dreading the process in between, or we kind of disregard the process in between, all the work that we put in, all the learning that there was. It was kind of all for nothing when we only think about that goal that we want to achieve instead of taking it all in and soaking in the process. So I definitely learned that from that fight. Like it's cool to be a fighter. It's cool to win these things in a career. But what's really cool is being famous back home. Walking in the front door, going to pick up my kiddo from daycare and having him say "Dada" and come running out with his hands up and picking him up. Like no feeling is ever going to top that. No feeling can, and nobody can take that away from me. That feeling away from me. It's very special. On the flip side of that fight, that was kind of before. That was Michael's opinion before the fight, and even after the fight, he said, he's going to persevere and keep going, and it's him versus him. He's going to grow from it, learn from it, and continue to enjoy life with his family. But his opponent, Mauricio Ruffi, he he had his own journey. He ended up winning, gets the win, and it was super exciting for him. I'm definitely a fan of his now, especially after how he responded after winning. He didn't take the opportunity to slander Michael or put him down or, say inappropriate things like other fighters may have. He doesn't speak English; it's not his first language, but he took the time to know what John 3:16 was and to be able to preach that or say that to the millions and millions of people that were watching. After beating Michael, he took the time to say, "This is the most important thing that ever happened in my life, and I want you to know it too." He quoted John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life." And he also took the time to propose to his wife in that moment. So, like, in that moment, even after winning, the most important things to him it wasn't that victory, it was spreading the gospel of Jesus, telling people that his life was changed and saved due to salvation in Jesus, the restoration that his life was given when he committed his life to Christ, and he wanted to share that. That was the most important thing. That's the thing he did first, was to share to the crowd there at UFC Freedom 250, the 5,000 at the White House, and the 85,000 across the street where I was at. But also the millions of people watching, that he wanted to say, God is number one in my life, and I want you to be able to have him as well, and shared that. And then also, right after that, immediately proposed to his wife. He said, "There's no greater time than right now, and I love you." And she said yes, gave him the thumbs up. So truly special. He had fought, he had worked his way to that fight, got a chance to fight at the White House, even though he was an American. I want to say he was from Brazil, but I may be incorrect, so don't quote me on that. But Mauricio Ruffi, um, after a response like that, with Michael before the fight saying what really matters is my family, and then Ruffi after getting the win after that fight saying the most important thing in my life is my family and my faith in Jesus, and I want you to know about that. And that was amazing. That was a really cool perspective to be able to listen to that, and it really helped soften the blow a little bit from the loss. Michael's my favorite fighter, so for Mauricio Ruffi to say that was pretty neat, and something that I will truly never forget. In church today, another thing that I learned this week. Where's my Bible at? Timberwood is an amazing church, and it has Bibles in each of the rows that you can pick up and follow along with. In that aspect, it's really cool, and I'm sure a lot of churches are like that. But recently I had found my Bible, my personal Bible that I bought. I believe I got this when I was in Pensacola. It was either that or it was in Duluth. It was at a Barnes and Noble. I know that either way. And it's a Bible that had a sword on it. I was like, that is really cool. And the Bible mentions that the Word of God is like the sword. It's like our our weapon to take on with us in life. And today in church, I decided to bring it with me. Brought it with me the last time I was there too, because like this is my sword. I'm gonna bring it with me. And was kind of thumbing through a little bit because I haven't opened this one in a while, and was kind of looking at some of the stuff that I have, because randomly throughout I'll have things highlighted and underlined, and as you may as well. And if you don't, I highly recommend it, because then you can go back and see what verses impacted you previously in your life, last time you open it up. Because as you may know, there's a lot of pages, a lot of small words in here, and if you don't underline them, they kind of just get lost in it. But that's what this thing is right here. It's like a sword. It's like a weapon for me to take with me into my daily life. Like Mauricio Ruffi talked about, his salvation in Jesus, his identity in Christ is a foundation on his life, and it's something that nobody can take away. It's something that can't be denied. This is, once you have this for eternity, and nobody can take that away. So whenever I go through something in my day, if I have a bad day, if I'm really struggling, I can know at the end of the day that I have this to rely on, and I have my faith, I have Jesus. I'm never truly alone. So taking this sword with me into my day, Hebrews 12, 1 and 2 is something that I had underlined in here previously. And it talks about Jesus being the founder and perfecter of our faith. Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, is seated at the right hand of the throne of God. This verse is really cool, especially right in the middle. I have underlined, let us also lay aside every weight. So you're carrying things, you have these burdens, you have these struggles, anxieties, depressions, stressors, just things that are just holding you back and holding you down. The Bible tells us to lay them aside, throw away the sin, and cling to Jesus, accept his gift of salvation, and throw away that weight, give it to him. Throw down this sin which clings to us so closely, the things that are holding us down and holding us back, preventing us from being who we were called to be, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. Not just walk, not just struggle, but walk enduring through this. And I think that's a very good picture of what faith is. A lot of people hear it, or they think, well, if I have my faith and if I go to church, then my life is perfect. I don't have anything to worry about anymore. And you cannot be any more wrong, in my opinion. I have a faith in Jesus, and my life still is very difficult at times. I find myself struggling with a lot of different things, and my faith doesn't make it perfect. Doesn't mean my life is going to be easy. It just makes me strong. It makes me capable. It makes me able to endure those things. My faith doesn't prevent these things from happening, but it helps me to endure while I'm racing, while I'm running. It gives me this battling, it gives me this sword to battle through it, to take each step, to continue running with endurance. If the running is tough, I just had some cousins do a marathon and a half marathon at the Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, and I could call them up right now and say, how was it? Was it easy? They'd say, no, it wasn't. But I had friends and family there supporting me, getting me through it. I had things that I was clinging to, my why, my reasoning, for keep moving forward, for keeping running straight ahead. I ran with endurance the race that was before me, because I had a purpose in doing so. It wasn't easy. It wasn't perfect. It didn't take away the pain, but I was able to continue forward. And that's what this is to me. And that's something that I kind of learned this week in church today on Father's Day. I opened up my Bible and saw that was underlined. I was like, that's really neat. And so I want to make a point to continue to carry this with me. When I go to church, bring my own Bible, dive into my word even more, or my copy of the word is what I should say. This is the ESV, English Standard Version. But with the sword on the front of it, it's even more fitting. I got this probably 10, 15 years ago, and now to have a podcast kind of surrounded on that image of the knight holding the sword. I had the knight tattooed on my arm with the sword. It's a weapon, and it can be used to make the enemy run from us. If we wake up in the morning and we have our weapon, the enemy goes, oh shoot, he's awake, Bailey's awake, we got to try to get him today. And he's going to. The Bible talks about how the devil is like a roaring lion seeking who he can devour. And I know, I don't know about you, but I feel a lot more confident. I would feel a lot more confident if I was holding a sword or my weapon. If I saw a lion out and about in the wild, I know that I would be able to take him on a lot more easily, a lot more confidently, if I had my weapon with me, if I had that sword or my gun or whatever that would look like. my defense, my offense when it comes to the struggles in my life. So those are some things that I learned the past couple weeks with Bella. Shout out Bella, you were a beautiful dog. You were an awesome dog. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for being here. Because if you weren't, I wouldn't have the dogs that I have, the Sully and the Boone that I have in my life. UFC Freedom 250, awesome opportunity. It was a beautiful time, amazing time to spend with my wife. To stay up super late every night and to just soak it all in. Being American, I'm so thankful for this country. So thankful for the opportunity to do stuff like this without people having their opinions and shutting me down. Being able to speak freely about the things that I want to talk about in my faith, my passions, my friends, whatever that may look like. Freedom 250, it was an awesome experience. Even though Chandler didn't win, there was many things that I could take from it and learn from him, and also from his opponent afterwards, with Rufy sharing his faith and talking about his family after the fight, even after winning, and Michael talking about the importance of his family, even after losing and before the fight even happened. And then in church, just bringing my own Bible. It was really cool and it was really encouraging. It's something that I'm going to continue to do. So hopefully you can learn from one of these segments, one of these parts of the episode from today. If you have any questions, if you ever want to reach out, if you know of yourself or anybody who wants to come on the podcast, I would love to talk with them. I believe more conversations like this just help build perspectives, ones that you maybe wouldn't have known originally, giving you a chance to kind of talk, speak your mind, and be heard. It's really cool. It's really freeing and it's a lot of fun. So highly recommend it. Reach out if you want to be part of it, and we'll see if we can't get you involved. And again, for those who ordered the upside down backwards stay sharp edition of the Iron Purpose podcast merch, let me know if you're interested. I've got a couple left over and I'll get them for you. $30, pretty reasonable price for a hat nowadays. And then all the proceeds will just go to helping me further this mission, further this podcast. With that, this is the Iron Purpose podcast. Happy Father's Day, and stay sharp, everybody.